So as you guys can see, this is the fabric I'll be using for the placket. As you this is the wrong side. You can see that while that is I'll be choking the wrong side. So the main size of the placket is going to be at 1.5 inches, as you guys can see, but the wideness total is going to be at 2 inches, right? So I'm going to mark 1.5, which will be the center part of the placket itself. So I'm going to mark 1.5 here. I'm going to mark 1.5 here also. Now mark 1.5 at the down part as well. So I'm going to connect those lines together. You can see that. I'm just going to connect the lines together. You can see. So the next thing I'm going to cut now is the one that's going to overlap, which I'm going to fold at the edge, which is going to overlap the placket. It's going to be at 2 inches, which is going to be the one at the side of the placket. So I want you guys to pay good attention to this. I'm going to mark 2 inches here. So I will have to cut 2 of this as well, because it has to be at the both sides of the placket, of the center placket. So I'll be cutting 2 inches of this. So that's what I'll be using to turn the side of the placket. So if you guys pay attention to the end, you're going to understand the process. So I'm going to mark 2 inches at this side as well. You can see that. I'm just going to connect it together. I'm going to connect this one too. You can see that. So I'm just going to mark the wrong side of the fabric, so I'll be able to put my fusing at that side. So I'm just going to cut this place out, as you guys can see. So this one that I wrote M, that is the center part. You know that one is at 1.5, and the other ones are 2 inches, which is wider than the main center part of the placket itself. So I'm just going to cut them out. You can see that. So this is what we're going to have. You can see that. So before I put my fusing to that, I'm going to cut out. So here first, depending on the length in which you want to work with, if you want it to not be longer than this is 20 inches, but my normal plackets usually end at 16 inches. So if I will be folding the top part and I'll be folding the M, it's going to end at a total of 19 inches. If I'll be folding half of an inch, but my normal length is 16 inches. My normal placket length for adults is 16 inches. So but this one, depending on the design you want to work with, it can be shorter, it can be longer. So with this one, I'll be working with 20 inches length, and after folding it's going to end at 19 inches. So I'm just going to put this aside, then cut the design inside. So in order to cut the design inside, which is going to just be a fold, design is going to be a total of 2.5 by 2.5. So I'm just going to mark height of 2.5 here. You can see that. So you're going to cut nothing less than, I'll be using up to like 7 parts of this, seven different of 2.5 by 2.5 that I'll be cutting. So I'm just going to mark this 2.5. I'm just going to mark it all down, straight down. So I'm going to connect it together. You can see that. You can see that. So after connect, so I'm just going to cut it out. So after cutting it out, I'm going to cut it to separate parts, which is going to be 2.5. I'm going to mark my 2.5 here. You can see that. I'm going to mark my 2.5 here. I'm going to mark my 2.5 here, but don't forget you're going to cut like up to like, depending on how long you want it to be. On this one I'll be cutting nothing less than 8 pieces of this small fabric that I'll be using for the design. You can see that. So here, after just get the right and the wrong side of the fabric. That's the wrong side. I'm just going to fold it together. You can see that, just like this, and I'm going to iron it down. You can see that. I'm going to iron it down. You can see after ironing it down, I'm going to fold one at the center part. You can see, and I'm going to iron it down. You can see that. I'm also going to fold this side also at the center part. You can see that, and I'm going to iron it down as well. It has to lay it flat. You can see that it's still not laying flat. What's wrong with this thing now? So just make sure it's laid very flat. Exactly, something like that. So this is what you're going to have. You can see this. This is what you're going to have. So you're going to do all these parts. You're going to do all the pieces of this side. So this is exactly something we're trying to get. You can see that. So we are going to cut like up to like 8 pieces of this. You're going to fold up to like 8 pieces of this. So after, the next thing I'm going to do now is to put my fusing. So on this one I'll be using a paper stay. Depending if you want to use a normal collar stay, you can go for a collar stay, but I don't want this to be too hard on the chest, because I'll be doing a couple of stitch on it, and it has another fabric extra on the placket, so it's going to be too thick. That's why I'm going for a paper stay, because it's lighter. You can see that. Just make sure it's fused to the fabric itself, and I'll be doing it on all of the fabric. So here is what we're going to have. You can see that. So after fusing it, I fused it on this one, and I fused it on the 2 other pieces as well. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to put my this is the design. I already like fold all the design I'll be needing. So in order to start this, all you just have to do is just to place it. So I'll be leaving like 1.5 inches gap at the top for the folding of the placket. You can see that. So all you have to do is just to place it on the placket like that, and we're going to run a stitch at the center part. We're going to run a stitch at the center part so that it's going to hold the fabric, the design to the placket. I hope you guys understand that. So we're going to do the same thing on all of the design, from the top part. Let me zoom in closer. Okay, make sure the space between each of the design are the same thing, and we're going to take it to the machine and stitch the center part so that it's going to hold the fabric. You can see that, and I'm going to do the same thing at this place as well. You can see that. So make sure the space between each of the designs are not more than one another. It has to be of the same size. You can see that. So we're just going to place it all the way around from the top to the down part. You can see what I'm doing. You can see that. You can see that this is exactly what we're trying to achieve. You can see that. So at that end part, I'm going to leave space because I will still be doing a sharp edge design at that edge, so I'll be leaving that space for the design. So this is what we're trying to achieve. So I'll be taking the plackets now to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to join one and show you guys how the stitching, because the stitching doesn't have to be straight at the center part. So let me show you guys something here. So after stitching the center part, we can stitch the side with our design, but let me show you guys this. So I will just take this to the sewing machine now and do the sewing so you can understand. what I'm trying to do here. So here I already do the sewing, and as you can see, I did not sew at the center part. I sew it a little bit slant. You can see that, so that after covering that part, the design itself, you won't be able to like see the stitch at the center, that opening at the center. That's why the stitches has to be a little bit slant. I believe you understand that. So I'll be doing the same thing on this one also, all the way to the down part. So this is what we're going to have. You can see that how beautiful it looks. You can see. So I'm just going to like trim those excess edge, those edges. You can see what the stitches look like behind. So I'm just going to stitch the excess edge. Oh, I said stitch, sorry. I'm just going to cut all the excess edge. Just cut it out so that you can have a straight fabric from the back. You can see that. Just going to cut it out. Make sure the fabric is straight. So this is what you're going to have. You can see how sleek and smooth that design look. So after cutting it out, just in case you want to see more of our video, our class is starting on our Telegram. I'll put a link in the description below to join. We have classes every month. So I'm just going to stitch the fabric straight down on the placket center. You can see I'm going to stitch the both side. You see that? So this is what we're going to have after. You can see that. You can see how sleek that is looking. So I'll be folding this edge. I'll be folding the edge backward, and I'll make sure it is straight and smooth. That side is going to be a total of 1/4 of an inch. The folding at the edge, you can see that. So I fold the both sides. So this is what we're going to have. You can see that. You can see that. So here at the back side, I'm going to put an hemi gum at the back. So it's going to hold it down very well. So the hemi gum will be the one to give it a sharp edge at the edges of the design. So I'm just going to place an hemi gum in between it. You can see that. Just here. You can see that. You can see, just iron it down. So if you look at the front, you can see that the hemi gum will help you to like hold the fabric very tight. You can see that place will be firm very well. You can see that. Just hold it hard, hold it very well. Can see. So if you look at the front, you can see how firm that edge is looking. So I'm going to do the same thing on this one also. Just put an hemi gum at that side. You can see that. You can see, just place your hemi gum right there. And I will not be ironing the full part. I'm just going to iron the edge. You can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to iron the edge. I'll just iron the edge of the design of the placket. You can see that. So that I will still have something to hold when I'm to stitch it to the bodice itself. You can see that. So when you look at the front panel, you can see what we are having, how smooth that is. So this is the edge, this is the end part. So I'm just going to cut a piece of fabric from the edge, from this side. I'm going to cut the pieces at this side as well. Just open it up, cut out the pieces. Then I'll be able to fold the hem. You can see that. I'll be able to fold that side, just in order to give me that edge part that I need. Make sure that place is sharp and smooth. Then I'm going to iron it down. You can see that. So when you turn it to the front, this is what you're going to have. You can see how sharp that edge is and how smooth that is. So here at the top also let me just trim out this excess here. You can see that. So I'm just going to fold in this edge. You can see, fold in this edge as well. You can see that. I'm going to iron it down. You can see that. Very simple. So your placket is very much ready. So this is what you're going to have. So all you just have to do now is just to fix it to your bodice and you're good to go. You can see that even if anything is blowing, that place is tight. The front design, all those designs there, they cannot move because we stitch it down, right? So this is the final result we're going to have. Just attach it to your bodice and you're good to go. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe and make sure you like the video. I will see you on my next video. Peace.